Well, again, I am here with an amazing guest, someone that I have been long awaiting to interview. And I'm here with Ulises Huitron from our Joliet office. And this is a not only one of our top realtors, but also a podcast host and somebody who's completely devoted to the empowerment of home buyers and opening doors for homeownership. So Ulysses, did I sum up kind of what your mission is there?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I look forward to expand on a little bit of everything, right? But absolutely, you've hit that right on the head.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to this conversation.
Great. So Ulysses, you are really focused in our Joliet market, and it's a growing market, especially as people migrate out of the city center into more of northern Illinois. What are some of the opportunities that you found during the years that you've been in real estate?
Well, Joliet in general, I believe it's the third largest city, third or fourth. We're always fighting with Naperville, but it is the third largest city in Illinois, and it's a growing city. It's like Chicago Junior, I would say. There's a lot of big money coming into town. There's a lot of big plans over the next 5 years coming into town, and it's just a city where there's a lot of potential coming. I mean, we've seen the demand of housing here. We've seen the demand of commercial business moving into the area as well. So that being said, um, that being said, there's only such a need for a realtor who understands the area that grew up in the area and can and knows it like the back of their hand to really help home buyers and home sellers to the maximum ability.
Now, you've been in real estate for several years now, but how long have you been in your real estate, and what's been your driving force, your passion? Real estate is a hard business to get into, and you've been extremely successful. And one of the things that people say about you is that you have a unbeatable enthusiasm. So, what has been your passion, and how long have you been in the business?
I've been in the business studying real estate investment vehicles for 5 years. I've been practicing licensed for coming up on 3 years in August, I believe. But what's kept me going was real estate is like no other business, right? There's a certain skill set that's needed here, a specific problem solving skill that you need to think on your feet because anything can go left at any given moment because of there's too many moving factors in a transaction. So that being said, in my career, I've always found myself in a management position of some sort and having to problem solve. And I think those skills have helped me be successful in this area, as well as being able to connect people and educate people about the home buying, home selling, or investment process.
So, one of the things that you had mentioned that really resonates with me, and I think it's really important, is to educate the consumer. What are some of the things that you find that you're teaching more of? Like, where, at what point are the consumer is your client base coming to the market, and what are the kinds of things you need to prepare them for to be successful in the home buying process?
Absolutely. I deal a lot with first-time home buyers, but as I really took off, so let me give you a little bit of backstory if it's okay.
Sure.
When I initially started, I was with another brokerage out of Naperville, and I was servicing more so the Naperville, Aurora area. And I chose that specific brokerage because it's got various locations all across Chicagoland. Well, at the time, I was still working in my 9 to 5. In my 9 to 5, I was working at the railroad. I was in charge of maintenance of chassis, pretty much where the shipping containers sit,
Yeah.
the wheels. Yeah, so I was in charge of making sure that the quality of repairs were being done to standard. And they could have put me anywhere in Chicagoland, so I needed that flexibility. So I figured I'm going to do that. When anywhere they put me, I'll work that market and work in real estate wherever they put me. But they ended up putting me in Joliet, one of the biggest uh, terminals here, Union Pacific Global 4, and I was in charge of three repair vendors, over 20 mechanics, and three inspectors. So it just happened that I started in Naperville, Aurora area, and once I came and said, "Hey, I'm going to practice in Joliet, the city where I know best," my business took off. It was the people I connect with, it's people I know, and it completely took off. So once that happened, then everything just flowed naturally. Everything was absolutely natural. I knew who I'm dealing with. I knew the schools. I knew the police officers. I knew absolutely everybody, and it was easy to gain the community's trust that way. To answer your question.
That's awesome. Awesome. So if I get this right, but your life has always been getting people from point A to point B, whether it was in the railroad or it's in housing. You're going to get them from where their goal is to get them to where they need to go. They can count on you for that.
Absolutely, and I'm sorry I didn't really answer your question, but where it came from, the educating part was the community, the overall population doesn't know what goes on behind the scenes. So,
Mhm.
once I gained kind of that trust, then it's about doing the job the right way in a transparent fashion, and they understand what's happening behind the scenes. Too many times I've dealt with people, I've heard horror stories where they don't know what happened, they just closed, and who knows what really happened, and that's
Right.
not okay.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We want to set people up for success to be homeowners for life. There's an organization called NARAP, National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, and part of their mission statement is to promote sustainable Hispanic housing. If you get in through the door, you're going to stay there. And a big part of that is education. So my hat's off to you for really taking that step. A lot of salespeople are just about the numbers, but when you're about the people, it makes a big difference. Where do you see yourself in this evolving industry? I got my license 31 years ago, and I'll tell you one thing that I have learned is that things are changing rapidly all the time. Where do you see yourself in the next few years as this industry is changing so rapidly?
Sure, sure. So initially, I got into real estate to learn about various investment vehicles within the industry. One thing led to another, and eventually, I did become a realtor. I've yet to do a flip. I've yet to buy my first investment property, but I'm on the way, right?
Yeah,
Um,
you're gonna do it, and then you'll come back and tell us about it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, where do I see myself in the next 5 years, 3 years? Definitely getting more into the investments, helping people learn about investments because I truly believe that real estate is the best form of investment there is. I know everyone is a fan of stocks or other vehicles out there, but for me, I think real estate is probably the best way for generational wealth, and not enough people know about it, and more people should learn
Yeah.
because some a client actually told me this once. They said they're not making more land. What's here is already here, right? So we're only growing more in numbers on this planet, and the land's only going to become more and more valuable each year.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's true. Real estate in a general span of, I don't know, want to say 50 years, 100 years, it's always going up. So, along with that's where I see myself in the next 3 to 5 years, also working with business owners and helping them find commercial space and getting a little bit more into the commercial real estate of the commercial side of the industry, should I say?
Yeah, that's fantastic, and that's a really good outlook. As far as setting yourself up for success in that line of thinking and that vein of thought. What are some of the tips that you can give somebody who real estate's tough business? How do you keep motivated, and how do you keep to your goals? What's your process of keeping your business going? We talked about what you see the industry, but how do you keep Ulysses working through this process and keeping motivated and focused?
You gotta love it. You have to love what you do. If you don't like what you do, it's a job. If you love what you do, it's a career. and that's it. Basically, I get up in the morning and I think real estate first thing in the morning, and before I go to bed, I think real estate. So it's a lifestyle. It's not a job, and it's okay to take some time off here and there. But in this job, it's impossible to be completely disconnected too, because there's always something going on, and I'm just that type of person that I like to keep my head on the swivel and be in the loop of things.
Outstanding, outstanding. Now, in terms of, let's break it down a little bit more. Some people are very business plan. They got a plan, they got a one pager, they got goals. How do you keep to the day to day in terms of your planning, in terms of hitting the benchmarks? Do you goal plan, business plan? What's your process there?
Absolutely. So, I'll be honest with you. I'm not the most disciplined when it comes to organization of say, hey, I'm going to make 50 calls a day, 100 calls a day. I do that time to time, but more so I focus on personal relationships with
Okay.
local people in the area. So I like to connect with people that connects with people, if that makes any sense.
Makes a lot of sense. You want to find the influencers that are going to be able
Absolutely.
to help you get more referrals and leads, and that's the it's a great tactic.
Absolutely. So, if we break my day down in a schedule, right, I could say 9 a.m. to 12 would be my email follow-up hours. And then maybe if I have an appointment, of course, that takes priority. But let's say 12, no, we gotta have lunch. So I always use lunch as a way to connect with people as well.
Yes.
So let's say lunch is 12 to 1, 12 to 2, or whatever it may be. And then let's say 2 to 5, I work on social media. Social media is probably one of the most important pieces of my business, and I'm all over the place. Before real estate, I wasn't the biggest fan of social media, and now I see the power of it, and I see the results of it as well. Just something where I go to an event and someone comes in and says hello to me. Hey, I see you on Facebook every day. I just want to come say hi. I'm like, wow, yeah, I didn't expect this. But
That's
that's
awesome.
no to break down a little my day. I mean, as much as I would love to stick to this specific schedule every day, it's impossible. But you do have to time block and time manage, and that's some of the most important things that you have to do.
That's great. Now, speaking of your digital life, on social media, you're also a podcast host yourself. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your podcast? And I love the title. I was gonna announce the title for you, but I want to give that honor to you. Why don't you tell us the name of your podcast?
Not a problem. So my podcast name is Compas y Casas. It's on my YouTube channel. YouTube channel is called Homes from Huitron, my last name. And then you'll find different playlists there. So we had season 1 last year. We're currently filming season 2 right now. And on that channel also you'll find monthly market updates that I do for the Joliet and Will County area. And from there you'll find bits and pieces of the home buying process, talking, having interviews and conversations with insurance agents, attorneys, inspectors, and you'll find all types of information then. But getting back to the podcast, um, I use the podcast to highlight pillars in the community and also to tell about stories of the average person. Everyone has a story. Everyone has lessons learned, and it's people we can connect with, and we don't even know that they're right next to us. So that's what the podcast is about. It's about letting the average person who I come across with tell their story, and also to highlight pillars in the community, and so people can get to know them. I think the next one coming out probably next Thursday, if not mistaken, I'll have the township supervisor there,
Wow.
and he's got a great story to tell as well.
That is great. That is great. Well, that's a part of your mission to engage and be part of the community, and building
Absolutely.
that trust and having a forum where people could speak their truth and their story is a great place to be. So, bravo to you. I think that's fantastic. So, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your story? What is the what's if I go to my I'm like very guilty of saying this like in every podcast. So like if you go back, I would say I'm a Marvel fan, and what's your origin story, man? You
Yeah.
know.
Sure. You know what? This is my first time being a guest on a podcast, so thank you for this.
Yeah.
But my story is I'm a son of immigrant parents who came to the U.S. looking for a better life, and sure enough, they gave it to me. My dad, he's from Michoacan. He was born out in the mountains, but they centered in a town called Morelia, Michoacan. My mom's from the state of Oaxaca. I was born just within the city limits of Mexico City in a place called Naucalpan. I was brought over just when I was 6 years old, and uh, it was one of those things where I don't take my parents' sacrifices for granted. So every day I have to make counts, and every opportunity that comes my way, I have to make counts, and that's kind of where how I live my life every day because they sacrifice so much for me, being disconnected from their families and their resources to give me and my little sisters a much better life. And that's pretty much my mentality.
You have and every time that we've spoken, one thing that always shines is your strong work ethic and that you really believe in what you do. Um, do you feel that that past experience and the lessons that you've learned from sacrifice from your family drive your mission as a realtor to help people achieve homeownership?
Absolutely, absolutely. I connect. I happen to naturally find myself with clients and customers in from very similar backgrounds. And when I see a client come in with their son or their daughter, so so that they can help them with technical issues. I mean, one of the things that I think helps is that I speak very fluent Spanish and English, so I can connect with them easy. But I see the family, and it's like I see the kid, and I was that kid, you know. Um, and so once I see that, I know exactly where they're coming from. I know that dad works long hours every week to put food on the table, and I see mom taking care of the kids, and it's just one of those things that really resonates with me, and it just helps me want to help them even more because I know that they can be put in a very good position making the right real estate decision and I thank them for trusting me in this journey that they're looking to take.
Now you've become an expert to get all of the tools that you need to be able to help families get into homes. And so you know all the products, everything that somebody would need as a first-time home buyer. You also become an expert in I-10 lending. And I know that over the years, a lot of people don't understand it, what it is, and it's a some people feel it's very difficult. But you've been very successful at it. Can you tell us a little bit about what I-10 is and how you became an expert around that?
Absolutely. So, little history lesson. Back before I don't know exactly what year, but I want to say around 2000. Uh, Anyone that came to the U.S. and wanted to work and file taxes, everyone got a social, whether you were born here or not. You got one. After some rule changes with policy changes, uh, if you were an immigrant and came to the U.S. and you wanted to work and file taxes, you were then given something called an ITIN, an individual tax identification number. That's what it stands for. It serves the same purpose, the exact same purpose. The only difference is it does not come in a little blue card. It comes in a full page green letter with a number on it, and that is assigned to you, and you have to renew it every so often, and that's what you file your taxes with. Well, from the bank's perspectives, since someone of that in that situation may not be a full-on citizen, they see them as a higher risk. Therefore, the terms in which uh, they may get a loan are, I would say, very unfair. For the longest time ever, it was a 20% down with 2 or 3 points of interest higher, and on top of that overlays, it's just unfair. So
Sure.
what I tell clients is, even if you have 20% down and that's your life savings, it probably hurts to let that money go away all in one purchase. So at the foundation of my business, when I really decided to took on, I specialize in this. I learned about a loan program from a local lender here. Am I allowed to say the name? Is that okay? Yeah, sure. Okay, okay. I don't know. Midland States Bank has an amazing program, which is not an ITIN program, but they include the ITIN community uh, as it's a portfolio loan, so they make the rules.
Sure.
And in comparison to what's out there, that's one of the options out there that I recommend for anyone that's looking to buy a home, whether you're social or not social. It's a great program. And but I've used that as a foundation, and you could say I exploited it because I advertised the heck out of it. But through that, I was able to help many families over the past 3 years buy a home who never thought it was possible.
Wow, wow. So again, it's continually opening those doors for families. And do you agree? I mean, a lot of there. I think in my 31 years in the business, a lot of times realtors have taken the attitude, well, I'm not the lender. I don't need to know about these products. I'll just have them call a lender. You've taken the step to really know the product. Do you feel that that helps empower you as a practitioner to know your business as a realtor, but also know the ins and outs of how the loan product is going to help you achieve your goal of selling the property?
Absolutely, because jokingly with friends, inspectors and people in the industry, they say realtors are just glorified door openers, and there's that. But I like to take it a step further because there are some realtors out there that are just door openers, and they try to sell you something that it may not be what you need, but you need to have that knowledge base, at least at the very base of basic knowledge of how things work so you can answer your clients' questions. The clients don't go to the lender for questions right away, they go to you first. And I don't know is the wrong answer every time. Now,
Yeah.
it's okay to not have the answer at that moment, but I don't know and not giving them some type of solution is not the way to treat your clients. That's not what you're there for. You're there to problem solve for them. You're there to help them negotiate and help them through the entire process, not just show you a house and write up a contract. So that's a level of service I think should be provided to all home buyers and home sellers.
Outstanding. Outstanding. So, you brought up some great topics here, as far as being what I would characterize as being service driven. And how do you see the heart of the industry? I think that for the most part, when we see realtors, certainly in our company and throughout the country, we have a service heart. We come into business because we want to help. Um, do you think that that's just that's being still ingrained in the industry, or is there, with all of the changes, that we're losing that, or do you think it's still there? And is that an important part of keeping real estate alive with the client?
I think personal service, that one-to-one connection will always have to be part of the business. I don't think that's ever going to go away. It was part of the service 50 years ago. It is today, and it will be in the future. People have a lot of speculations because of changes in the industry and rule changes and AI. Thinks that they think the AI is going to take everybody's job. And when Zillow came around, everyone said, "Hey, Zillow's going to take everybody's job." No, no. You still got to be knowledgeable, and you still got to learn how to connect with clients and help them through the process, because a website doesn't know how to do that. AI is only great to a certain point, and it can't do everything. You still need that face-to-face interaction, and some clients you got to hold them by the hand, and if that goes away, if the customer service of a realtor, of a personal realtor, goes away, then some of these clients will not be serviced, and I think that's a disservice to them if the industry moves in that direction. I don't know if I'm making any sense to you, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, no, it will always be a part of this industry.
So let's talk a little bit about technology. Just real quick, AI, yay or nay? What do you think?
Yay, absolutely.
Yay, yeah. What
Yeah.
I have been using AI, some different products, particularly ChatGPT, and have found it to be an amazing tool. But what are some of the ways that you're using it now? What has been your introduction to it?
I love ChatGPT, and I need to dive more into other products, but ChatGPT is amazing. some things that I didn't know how to do, it does for me. So some things I would maybe bug a friend of attorney to do a letter of intent or things like that. I can do those through ChatGPT. you know Analyze data, it does it for you. Sure, you can do it yourself, but it saves you time, and knowing how to use these tools will only further whoever uses it. It'll make you just much more valuable against your peers. And
Right.
so absolutely you have to embrace, so ChatGPT is amazing. For content, I use something called Opus Pro.
Oh,
That's where I take long form videos and make them to short reels. I love that. It's amazing. They also help with captions. Buffer's mainly for social media, managing posting on different platforms all at once. Those are the primary three I use these days.
got it.
But
Got it.
you know what? There's one I've been curious about. There's one that can take your face and put you in a video, and it'll be like an interactive. So your clients can see you. If you're giving a presentation online, they can see you and hear you and your voice, but it's not really you. I think
Yeah.
that's a step further.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've really appreciated, and like anything, um, anything could be used incorrectly. Anything could be used misused, but if you use things correctly and you're implementing it in the right way, it could be beneficial to your business and ultimately to the client because it's building efficiency. And the more efficiency that you're able to offer the client, the more the value that they're going to get. So, you right behind you, you got that Century 21 logo. You're right there. There it is. And what is and everybody who's listening, forgive me. I got two Century 21 guys here. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, what brought you to the brand specifically, and what do you like about it?
So Century 21 for me, like I said, a little bit of backstory of how I came to Century 21. I was with a small brokerage here in the local Joliet area, who just did not have any support. I was the support, I guess I could say. It was someone who has about 8 years of experience at that time in the industry, and she decided to open up her own brokerage. My hats off to her, by the way. She's a
Sure.
producer like no other. But she lacked management skills. She lacked that company did not have any support whatsoever. So it's just free reign. And when you're newer into the business, you need to have that support. You need to
Sure.
have someone that has the time to answer your questions and lead you in the right direction. So once I kind of got an idea and I was producing, I knew what I was doing. Well, I began to feel comfortable with what I was doing. I knew I still needed a platform that would have my back, right? That would give me the resources I need, that would make my life a little bit easier because I would do my own marketing, I would do my own graphics, I would do my own flyers, and I still do from time to time. But it's nice to have a marketing team behind you and software that makes your life a whole lot easier. And it's just, I'll shout him out, Mr. Matt Ridoff, who was a big factor. One sit down with the guy, and I could tell exactly that this is what I needed to be. And there's also some great producers here, who I always, seen in passing, never really conversated, but there were some amazing people here. So I was very curious about wanting to work alongside them or collaborate with them or learn from them. So, this is one of the offices that when I was doing my searching about where I wanted to go, one sit down later, it was not even close.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, as far as social media, podcasts, how can people reach you to follow your podcast and your social media on real estate?
So I'll give you a couple handles, but the main one is Homes from Huitron. It's my last name. If you type that on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Facebook's kind of like where I'm most active on. I have a Compas y Casas podcast page on there, as well as a real estate business page as well, and that's where most people can find me and my content.
Got it. Now, I have to. I would be remiss if I didn't ask. I love the name of your podcast, Compas and y Casas. Can you tell us a little bit about how you developed that name? And for those who don't speak Spanish, if you could tell them the English translation of where the term compas comes from.
Compas is a word, is a short form slang you could say of compadres. Compadre is someone you hold dearly to your heart. It's a friend you can call. I mean, other from the literal uh, uh, definition of your compadre or someone who baptized your kid. It's
Right, right,
someone you're very fond of, right? It's a friend. It's someone you feel some type of camaraderie with. So it's friends and houses, the
right,
literal translation, right?
right.
And initially the idea, I didn't know where I was going to take the podcast at the beginning. I just know I wanted to do it. So I figured I would have industry friends and people who I work with be on there and tell a story. Now it's shifted in its own direction, and it still applies.
Well, that's awesome, and I encourage everybody to go to Compa y Casas. I will be a new fan and listen to it as well. I'll be subscribing soon, so I'm happy that you're doing that, and it was great to have you on our show. And we are very similar to you, wanting to tell the story of top agents and what it's like to be in the real estate industry, and you exemplify just so much of the character that is needed in our industry to make sure that home ownership is sustainable, and we're continually opening those doors specifically for the underserved with people who need that education and support. So thank you for what you do, and thank you for joining us today. Love to have you back on the show soon.
Absolutely. And Alex, let me extend the invitation to you. I want you on my podcast. We,
Thanks.
we got to set it up.
I would love to.
So we got to have you on there, and it'll be a great conversation. It'll be a great time. And when you're in town, I'll take you to a couple places to come out and eat.
You got it. You got it. Well, okay, everybody. Now we're gonna switch gears soon, and I'll be on Compas en Casa, so that'll be great, and I'm excited for that. And apparently, it comes with a free meal, so I'm there, man. I'm there. All right. Thank you so much, and thank you everybody for joining us today. Join us next week for continued content and more stories from our top agents. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for having me. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.